am I really worth 50% of the deal? So that was a big thing for me. And it often is a question that we hear from a lot of newer investors. Now, if you're an investor that has been investing for a while, that's probably not an issue for you because you do know your value, you do know your worth, and you know how much time and effort and energy actually goes into being a working partner in a real estate deal. So this is a question more often that comes from newer investors or people that are new to joint venturing. That having been said, we all often will think that way at first, especially. So what can we do to get over that a little bit? Now, we put together this list of things that you can do to get over this issue in your mind. And if you do them, you should be cured once and for all. So the first thing that we do is we recommend that you just buy property yourself in whatever way you can. It doesn't matter how you do it, but you do one and you do all the work for it. You find it, you vet it, you do the numbers, you get it, bought, rehabbed, rented, all that stuff. You do all those things, do it even once, and you will be cured for life. You will never again wonder whether or not you were worth 50% and why anyone in their right mind would give you 50% to do that. So that's one thing you can do. Second thing you can do is you can remember that people are really actually stuck in their lives financially. The majority of people, so in Canada where we all live and invest, 95% of people will have to rely on government assistance through their retirement. Rely on it. That's the stats according to Maclean's magazine. Now, 60% of those are still going to have some sort of supplementary income. That might be a part-time job. That might be, help from family. It's amazing how the majority of Canadians are not going to have enough money to retire on. Now, you, though, can be that catalyst for change, right? And you can offer them a whole different life, a different retirement, a different peace of mind than most people will ever experience. So are you worth 50%? Is that alone worth 50%? Absolutely. They don't have an option without you. They haven't looked into it. They haven't educated themselves. Less than 5% of Canadians know anything about real estate investment. They don't know anything about a market cycle, what leverage is, how banks will hold the majority of our liability for us. They don't know any of those things. Now, it seems like, maybe you feel like you're a newbie and you don't know very much either, and what do you have to offer? But really, you are miles ahead of the average person. So first off, do it. You'll be cured for life. You'll know how much work goes into it. Second, just remember that you are a catalyst for change and a vehicle for change, and that people really need you. If not, we have a whole generation of older people that will be working through their retirement. That alone, again, if you have a problem offering 50% for that value, really think about those numbers. Now we're just getting to some of the good stuff. So, let's say you buy that property. And, generally speaking, even the smallest or the nicest properties, unless they're brand new, they're going to need some sort of a touch up or something done to it. So it might not be a major renovation, but there's still going to be some things. Often it's carpet and paint. So, and cleaners. But also really picture yourself doing them. Picture those family dinners where you have to keep your phone with you. Everyone else gets to put their phone away, but you got to keep your phone with you and you got to answer it when it rings because you have issues going on at a property. Think of, the soccer games that you have to miss, or tournaments, or dance recitals that you run in late for because, something came up at a property. Think of the vacations where you can't turn off your phone. Or if you do, you got to have a backup plan in place, which took time and effort to get that into place. But you can't just, turn off. You don't have that luxury as a joint venture working partner. So is that worth 50%? So first off, is that worth 50% to a money partner? Think of all of the stuff that you're saving them. And think of how an investor, a money partner, thinks they have money because they've at one point or another leveraged something. Time, money, bank, something. They've used leverage. Now they're using you as their leverage. Does that make sense for them? Absolutely. They're game for it. Now, does that make sense for you? That might be a good question at this point too. That's a lot of work. Now, picture doing that work, not for one property, because hopefully you want to, be in the 5 to 10 range, let's say, and you're doing that, all of that, for 5 properties now, not just for one, not one phone call, but 5 phone calls, not one tenant, but 5 tenants. Now, picture doing that, not for 1 year, but for 5 years, maybe 7 years. Typical joint venture will be between 4 and 7 years, often 5 to 7 years. So can you do that for 5 to 7 years? And is that worth 50%? That is worth 50%. Trust me, I've been doing these. So in our first few years of doing joint venture agreements, we did not, first off, our properties didn't cash flow enough to be able to put in a property management fee. So I didn't put one in the very beginning. Again, we made a lot of mistakes. We didn't buy properly or right like we do now. However, we stuck to our guns and said, listen, hey, this is what we agreed to, so this is what we'll do. So there are still properties that we own that I manage for free. So I'll get 50% when we sell, of course, but I don't get a monthly fee other than split of cash flow. We don't get an extra property management fee. And I've been managing these places for 14, 15, coming on more years for free. So am I worth 50%? Heck yeah. I would not have thought. So when I first started, I had an issue with it too. I didn't really believe I was worth 50%. But now I absolutely, no question, like zero question at all, know that I am definitely worth 50%, especially for so long. So ask yourself, could I do these for this long? And for the most part, we can, and it's worth it. It's hard. It's not hard work. It's simple stuff, but it's consistent and it's long-term work. So, can you do it? Yes, great. Most of us can. Is it worth it? Absolutely, because you're building for your future. But now, can you own being worth 50%? Yes, you can own it. And like I said, if you do 1 or 2 of these, you'll see, and even within the first few months, you'll realize your value. So take the time to really think about it and put yourself in those positions. And that will help you to really be able to not only answer that for a joint venture partner, but answer that for yourself.